All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the MKWC 2026 on Mario Kart World. We are so excited to bring you one last cast for today. This will wrap up our day 2 of matches. We've got Peru versus Dominican Republic today, a really exciting match, and Peru's opening match for the event this year. And yeah, really looking forward to it. How about you, Ginja?
Yeah, this match in particular is going to be very interesting to watch because, especially with the Dominican Republic, I'm not as familiar with them as, let's say, the other teams, but I know for a fact they're going to put on a show today. And same with Peru. I believe both of these teams are very evenly matched. I think either of these teams could honestly take it and win it all in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both teams relatively even, although when we take a look at the lineups here, you'll see particular player that stands out, at least on Peru's side. And so here we have Peru's lineup. We've got Splendy, Pie Hat, Francis, Dansoon, Andy, and Gabo. And we will be watching Splendy's POV today. Splendy being the player I just mentioned, playing in RK, their top team, so he has a lot of experience, especially in recent times on Mario Kart World, playing at that top level, so he'll be a huge asset to this team in the front, as well as Pie Hat and Francis, who are middle division players who have been on the come up recently as well. Francis with RK as well, but in their third iteration, and then Pie Hat being a main player on Starstruck's second iteration. So, solid amount of experience here.
Yeah, definitely a lot of experience there. And I'm looking to see them really step up when it matters because we know Splendy is certainly going to step up due to the experience, as you said, but the rest of the team, they have to make sure that they protect Splendy as much as possible, get up to the front, and really stay there. Because depending on the lineup that the Dominican Republic has, that's going to be a dictator of what they can do against that. And it's really going to come down to team play and strategy, making sure you stay in those bottom two spots, at least one to get shock. If you can get both people in bottom two, that will really set up your race. So it's going to come down to that. And I feel like Peru definitely has themselves in a good spot here with this lineup, but let's see if they can come through on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking a look at Dominican's lineup for today, pretty similar to what we saw from them yesterday. Yesterday we saw them up against... it was Venezuela, that's right. So yeah, we have AI, Daro, Den, Edgar, Elbrix, and Morio. Watching Elbrix today, different POV from yesterday, but another lineup with a lot of experience as well, solid experience. Again, Morio being the captain, standout player, currently playing with Code Genius, if I remember correctly. Edgar playing with Kira team as well. They're around Division 9 to 10 level. And a lot of new and upcoming players that I haven't seen too much of recently, like Daro and Elbrix as well, a player that I personally am not too familiar with, but we'll see how he shows up, especially since we're watching him today. And again, want to reiterate, this is the Dominicans' first time playing in the World Cup as their own team, representing their country by themselves. In the past, they were represented with like Central America and things like that, but really excited to see them play once again.
Yeah, this team's I believe they lost their match yesterday, or their earlier match.
Yes,
so they're looking to really rebound and put themselves in a better position against Peru, which is a tough task because, as you said, the firepower that Peru has is very, very apparent. But I think they can create some chaos and really dictate, especially for their first time ever as their own country competing. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategies they have and what they can really do to fight off as we're about to get underway here possibly. And it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of track picks here early on, especially from the side of Peru, to try to gain themselves a bit of a lead here.
Yeah, for sure. And it does seem like we're getting underway. It does seem one of our POVs may be ahead of the other, so that's something we'll have to keep in mind. But potentially. But going into the first track here, this is Sky High Sunday. I believe we've seen this in every single match we've casted so far, and for good reason. This track has changed a lot, especially since the update 1.7 that we've been talking so much about since the start of the World Cup, due to how the start is really powerful depending on if you pull those shrooms or not. So we'll have to see what Elbrix can get on this first set. Unfortunately, yeah, not able to get a box. Starting in mid spots and back spots is kind of risky, especially if you choose to drive forwards because of those the contention for boxes early. So gonna have to miss out on that first shortcut, putting him a bit behind right off the bat.
Yeah, but having 4 mushrooms in the back pocket is going to at least help a little bit to catch up here. I like how they are going around, but unfortunately falling off there, not what they wanted, and now they are going to be in the back. But in this track, it's more likely or not, shock is going to be a factor. So they are actually setting themselves up well. And here is Splendy having a hammer and a green, and that's going to help for defense and possibly to play aggressive here. But we do see, I believe, 2 of the Dominican Republic players are in those top 2 spots, and they're really holding on to that well, and Peru just has to fight for the front at this point.
Yeah, if I were to guess, that would be Morio. I believe he played the Biddy Bud yesterday in their match, so holding up the front right now for Dominican Republic. A huge bomb hitting several Dominican players there at the end of lap 2. Splendy with these shrooms in a really good position to catch up and potentially gain distance on Morio here. Den in front of him with no items, so no contention here yet. We do see Francis in second place, so potential for a late hit out onto Morio going into the last set here. Hammer's back, not quite going to connect. Looking at the pack, though, there is quite a lot of red in the bottom spots right now. Potentially bottom 2. Splendy getting hit down, but doing a nice clutch to stay on the track at the very least. And going into the line here, Elbrix getting hit multiple times. He is just holding the blue for Morio. He cannot really do much on his own, but holding on to first place, like I said, I believe is Morio. And yeah, huge on him. 1-3-4 even. Must have been some really nice catch-up on the line from his teammates, but a really solid opening for Dominican here.
Yeah, getting a plus 12 in that one is very, very good. And they look to build that momentum here off of that first race, entering race 2. But it's a very good start, and it's honestly a much-needed start after losing the first match, as I said earlier. Just something you want to keep in mind is just starting off clean and starting off strong, so that way you can build yourself a little bit of a lead and try to think of different strategies later in the war, so you wouldn't have to necessarily worry about it. But I mean, it is still early and it is only race 2, but you have to think, and you have to think ahead, especially in a situation like this.
Yeah, for sure. And coming into the second race, Dominican opting with Boo Cinema, a really strong running track. Again, with those triple shrooms, able to be pulled on the first set now, and a pretty sizable shortcut right at the start of the race. This track is a pretty, I would say a pretty natural selection, one that one may opt for, and it is going to get selected here. Have to see what Morio and I believe that was AI and Edgar in 1-3-4 can pull. Surely we'll see at least one of those 3 pull a triple shroom here, and we'll gain a bit of a breakaway. But a ghost for Elbrix, this is Splendy now. Splendy with a ghost pull, spamming it right off the bat to gain a potential lead. He does not quite get the shroom he was probably looking for, but a red in first, not bad for him. Gonna opt to back to try to get the shrooms, but 4 greens. He does take out Morio, but Morio gonna come up with shrooms, so he is not out of it yet. Potential snipe attempt, and that is gonna land. Very nice. I don't even think he had to throw it. It was just a nice trail there from Splendy. Holding down first pretty comfortably right now, and a lot of Dominican in the back to start.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, but bottom 2 there, I believe, and oh, what a snipe attempt. And I believe that Dominican might have taken first, but yeah, I would opt to back here. We do see a lot of Dominican in the back here, so maybe chance of shock, but they are not going to pull it. Instead, pulling a golden and a mega. Really good items in this position in the back. We see a couple other players opting to bag here. Now they're going to really, as we switch over to Elbrix, and Elbrix having triple greens in the horn. I like this play of throwing them immediately forward, but holding on to that last one in case of a red coming, but getting rid of it. No, gonna opt to hold on to it. And again, just the strategy of using your items effectively. I think Morio is in a ghost with triple bananas, so they're definitely going to be able to catch up here. But yeah, I really like that play, opting to slow horn and create some bit of separation, as now one of Dominican's players have taken first place right back.
Yeah, gonna be Morio once again holding down first place for his team, and again, like you said, the horn was a really nice play as it prevented Pie Hat. He had to burn his shroom to catch up instead of using it at the shortcut. So really nice play there. One single shroom for Elbrix. Maybe could go for a potential snipe on this last straightaway. Very infamous, one of the most chaotic endings to a track in this entire game. Throws one up. Unfortunately going to get clipped by Splendy in the Mega. That is going to drop him all the way back down to, I believe, 10th here. So at least a little bit of a salvage for Peru here. And we'll have to see, yeah, bottom 3. That actually was a big difference there, as that would have been a potential 1, 3, 5, 6, or 7 instead of a bottom 3. So really, really good on Splendy to get that off. But again, Morio holding down the front for his team and keeping them very, very close here. +8 differential for them.
It really did not affect things too much, even with the bottom 3, but getting into the front there for the Dominican definitely saved it a lot. If they did not get into those top spots, it would have been a much worse race at that point. And that's the type of race that you kind of needed. You kind of needed a reset if you were Peru, and a reset race is not a bad race. It's going to put yourself in a better position, as we see Shy Guy Bazaar and Wario Stadium being picked here. And again, just trying to reset the odds, reset your top spots as much as possible. It's such a huge difference, especially later on. You want to set yourself up well in terms of those positions, especially going into the halfway mark later on. And even further into this war, it's just so important that you get solid races and get to the front as soon as possible, because it really does matter here.
Yeah, now we enter Shy Guy Bazaar, a track with a very interesting twist in recent times, again, referring to the 1.7 updates, as, before the update, you would see pretty much every player go for this first opening strat, like we did see here. But in recent times, more players have been opting to skip it and go for the first box instead, just because of, like we see right here, Elbrix with triple shrooms already in a super high position, making it so if you can do the later entrance to the turn skip, I don't believe you've seen that on cast yet, but the later entrance to the turn skip means you can still go for that box, and seeing a little bit more of that in recent times, and allows for more usage out of those triple shrooms on the first set. We see one set of triple shrooms gets stolen. Ghost being popped by Elbrix has to avoid the star. Gonna pull triple shrooms of his own, but it does look like a top 2 right now for Peru. Pie Hat, I believe, is that Pipa up there. I do believe that was a bomb, though, taking out Pie Hat. That just leaves Dan in first place on the Shy Guy. Splendy cupping up in a bill, though. This is looking really close going into lap 3 right now.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, getting hit a little bit further back to where they wanted to be, but still having this mushroom is a very good pull, and as well as the bomb, honestly, for protection's sake. And they're going to opt to just hold, well, it's going to go off, and they're going to have to take that bottom path because of all the chaos that's surrounding him at this point. You have to watch out for Splendy's green. He's going to get rid of the green, Splendy is, but now going to go for the turn skip, and actually is not, never mind, going to just opt to play it safe here and just hold on to these mushrooms. Uses one to escape some trouble, but having that ghost pull, that is such a massive pull, especially for this item set. They're going to opt to use it now, probably take one of those triple shrooms, and they do, and this is going to be big because they can cut off this corner. But unfortunately, getting hit at the end, and the triple greens are going to come out in a spot where you really don't want it, and the shock as well. Peru getting into those top spots, and that's exactly what they needed.
Yeah, shock coming in late, doing a bit of a salvage there, and you have to wonder if Elbrix didn't get trailed there. Could he have kept second and support Edgar in first place there? But again, a good salvage, keeping Peru in it. But once again, all three races so far, we have seen Dominican take that first place, and that is huge. For those who aren't aware, first place is earns you 15 points, and second place only earns you 12. And, you know, that 3-point differential is the biggest out of any differential from any spot. So first place being so crucial, even if you don't necessarily have that support from your team. So really good on Dominican for keeping that up so far. And they are going to opt for a whistle stop, and I actually like this pick from them. Whistle stop favoring 5th and 6th place starting, actually, because of that starting line. You can steer sharp enough to the left to reach that fast path at the very start of the track. Well, it is much harder for those, you know, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, but it is actually going to be Peru's pick here, DK Pass. Don't believe we've seen this track on cast yet, but a very, very interesting track, and can be chaotic, especially towards the end of each lap here.
Honestly, even the start as well, you're going to have to get onto that rail to really save some time. So that's going to be really chaotic as well, as we see Elbrix now just starting off strong, going to pull maybe something, but does not get an item at all, and they're probably going to have to go around from this, but instead they're just going to go for this rail I was talking about and just try to get into those top spots. We see Edgar making that, and Splendy as well going to make that shortcut, and that top three at this point. We see a star as well being pulled in the middle of the pack. I think that's Davo, but a ghost, that is such a big pull, especially in this situation. I think they're going to opt to use it, and they do. And I think they took the triple mushrooms. And again, having a ghost in those top spots really mattered here, is now getting into second. Yeah, but Splendy holding on to first here with a green.
Yeah, one thing to also mention with the update, a really uncharacteristic line fail from Splendy here, entering that wall ride a bit too sharp and too far to the left. That's going to have to cause him to go around and lose a ton of time. But as I was saying about DK Pass, as you've seen so far from the lap 1 driving, there is a good amount of this road where you just do not drive. You do a lot of wall riding and skipping of turns and whatnot. Looking at Elbrix here, he has a bomb. He's going to toss that up, maybe get someone before the cut, and he does. He's going to hit out Pie Hat. Still able to shroom, though, but going to delay some time at the very least. And switching back to Splendy, he has found himself in first once again, even after that line fail with triple reds to boot. This is a really strong position for him. He just has to watch out, though. Morio behind him with a set of triple greens. Threatening just a bit. He's going to back. Not quite going to land. Doing the box variation of the tree cut there, allowing you to get an item and take the strat. And he is looking very comfortable. As long as Morio does not pull a mushroom here, he is in a good spot to keep first right now.
I think he can keep it. But as I say that, the shot coming in, and I believe a couple players have dodged. Here comes Elbrix into the fray, and now all of a sudden, 3-4 for the Dominican definitely saving that race, but I think Splendy might have hold on top. Oh no, 2, 3, 4, 7, 9, 10 for the Dominican Republic, and I think that was a great salvage there. And now it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, so Splendy holding on to that first place, but that was a really nice shock from the Dominican Republic there, getting 2 dodges soon, I would assume soon after that last set, allowing them to confirm a 2-3-4. And the first race, we haven't seen Dominican in first, but managing to win the race regardless. I think Dominican is doing a really nice job at adapting and playing around the Peruvian players, especially Splendy, because like I said, even though he is a very threatening presence in the front, they are managing to either neutralize him or keep a lot of spots behind him going into the end of races. So really, really liking how Dominican is playing this so far. And now we are going into Bowser's Castle, another track that has a very, very chaotic opening.
Indeed, and you always have to watch out for that start, and getting onto the rail or not getting onto the rail is a big talking point now in the community. I feel like people always have to decide that, but instead we're going to see Elbrix opting to bag, and this play is interesting because you are basically guaranteed to make the shortcut if you know how to. And even having a red to know, well, as I say that, unfortunately, that's not going to happen, but, you know, they're still in a spot where it's not the end of the world because, of course, this track is so long. And there is a lot of catch-up potential here. But we do see Splendy now having a Ghost and Triple Mushrooms in second. This update definitely going into effect. And what a Ghost.
Brutal.
Unfortunately, making one of the Dominican Republic's players just losing their mushrooms at, like, the worst possible time. It's just super unfortunate.
Yeah, I believe that was Edgar getting his shrooms stolen as he was entering the lava. And interesting about lava is that you get stuck in it for a few seconds before you respawn. So that wasted time on top of not being able to take the cut is huge. It makes a huge difference. And now Splendy is, you know, given a line fail or a shock, he is pretty much guaranteed to just win this race outright with this position he's in. And, you know, top 3 from Peru right now to boot. That is Pi Hat in second. So, really, really looking good right now. Looking back at Elbrix, though, he does have a Bill in last. He's going to be forced to use it, though, after, unfortunately, not making that second no-item shortcut. But, yeah, really going to be banking on Shock right now for the Dominican. Again, don't know about catching Splendy, but that they can at least make an attempt at reaching those 2-3. And we do actually see a swoop from Peru, or sorry, the Dominican. Like I said, I think that's Edgar taking up second. So once again, Dominican making making the most out of the salvage right now.
I think there's another player as well up there, but they're just trying to salvage this as much as possible. And Elbrix having this bill in this situation is very apparent. They have to use it again. But again, I don't hate that because they do have the golden in the pocket. And they'll at least be able to catch up a little bit and probably pass maybe a couple people with this golden mushroom being utilized. But only going to pass one. But I think a lot of I think that might be bottom 2 for Peru. So even with Splendy getting first, bottom 2 is not necessarily 9, 11, 12 is just not the best race for Peru that they could have gotten.
Yeah, for sure, especially with what the positions were looking like in the middle of that lap too. But I mean, you do have to give credit where credit is due. Splendy putting on a masterclass in the front on Bowser's Castle. He had at least a 5-second breakaway going into the finish line, and again, I believe that was Edgar in second. So really, really well played from him. But like you said, these several 3 out of bottom 4 positions that Peru are putting up right now, not going to do enough when it comes to catching up. The differential going into the second half, still very doable for them, but Dominican slowly creeping forward here. And we do get another Peru pick. I believe this is their third pick in a row now, but going to Wario Stadium. Seems that this team is really, really playing heavily into Splendy and him keeping the tops on front run heavy tracks.
Yeah, and it's definitely apparent at this point. You gotta wonder, can one of Peru's members really help Splendy out? Because I feel like at this point they have not really been able to do that as well as they would have liked. And unfortunately for Splendy, already failing at least at the shortcut. So that's going to allow, I think, the Dominican Republic here to really break into the front. But we do see one of, I think, a couple Peruvian members actually, I believe in top 2 or 1-3 in this case. But now Elbrix is going to just opt to really go wide and go for coins here in this situation, and I like that. And as well, placing the banana on the rail, hitting Josian, I believe that was, and just such a massive play. And putting themselves in a better position, having triple mushrooms and a bill. Getting hit there isn't probably the end of the world, because they can easily make it back with this bill. But Splendy, after being in the back in lap 1, has immediately put themselves, at least for now, a great spot.
Yeah, good, what I would assume to be a back spam from Morio once again, holding down first for the Dominican, but yeah, I do want to point out a blue shell coming in actually on Morio now, getting hit off of the Valor strat, as the community has so called it, named after the player who discovered it. But one thing to point out that we haven't really talked about that much is coins. For those who aren't as familiar, coins do increase your vehicle's top speed. And in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they mattered a huge deal. And in Mario Kart World, they still do matter, but not nearly as much, especially because of how hard another hit onto Splendy on the strat, causing him to fall off, so losing some more time. And a shot coming in as well. We do see dodges from both teams, so not exactly sure whose shock that could be. But it looks like Peru is in first right now. But we'll have to see what these players in these mid spots pull on the last set here. Triple reds for Splendy, that is huge. It's going to take out Morio's bomb, but does he have another protection? He does, so Morio's gonna keep second here, and a golden into fourth for another Dominican member. Again, another really great salvage from Dominican here.
Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 7. Such a great turnaround. Again, just, it seems to me like they're getting first now, but they really can't break more into that. The lead has definitely gone down at least a little, I would say. Maybe not, though. Maybe not as much as I would expect. However, you kind of need to, if you're Peru, just break into those tops and really use your items to put yourself in a better position, because at this point, that's what really is going to dictate whether you win races by a lot or by a little. So you really have to find a way to break that with anything.
Yeah, and I mean, that race, Dominican doing their job. They took out Splendy on that rail strat lap 2 and 3, and he still managed to get second place off of it. You really have to consider just how well Splendy is adapting to these situations. He has to know that he is the favored player in this lobby, and he has to know that Dominican is, on a tear to potentially hit him out more than normal because of that. And so he's adapting really well, but it's the bottom spots that we've seen from Peru so far really holding themselves back, and we really need to see Peru make a comeback into the front, really push up at the, entering lap 3 or towards the last set, whatever the case may be. And now we're entering Acorn Heights here with another track that has a really strong running potential. And top 3, all of the spots in top 3, pulling triple shrooms here. Really, really good item because of the no item shortcut coming up here. While you can take it with no items, it is faster to use the shroom, of course, and that's what we did see First do. First being the Dominican once again, but Pie Hat and Splendy in 2-3, if they can burn their mushrooms, they can potentially do something about this.
Absolutely can, but this bomb placing at the perfect moment, and the blue shell coming in as well, and Pie Hat missing it, unfortunately, but still, I think it's top 3 now. Francis in first, and Peru is doing exactly what I really needed them to do to really get back in this, but can they hold it is the question. We do see, I believe, one of Peru in the back as well, and that's going to really be a dictator of what is going to happen. We see the triple greens now probably going to be opted being backed. And again, they just have to play aggressive to try to hold those top spots as much as possible. Just try to break away. And it seems like at this point, they are breaking away and they're holding on to it as much as possible. They have the position and they have as well the distance at this point to really hold on.
Yeah, Splendy doing nice work, threatening these middle spots from the Dominican with triple greens and the like. He has a shroom to boot for this ending cut. Hammers back after this cut could be huge if he can land them. There is a Goomba threatening. He actually backs them inside of the cut and looking... No, I believe they all avoided it, but this breakaway is too big. Unless there's a last-second shock here, there is not much the Dominican can do about this, and that's going to be a top 3. Exactly what Peru needs right now. And a bill on the line for Peru as well. That's really, really, really strong for them as well.
That's exactly what I was saying. They need a break in that.
Wow.
And the bottom 4 for the Dominican Republic. And that's going to give Peru the lead back in an instant. And at this point,
yes,
that is, yes, it absolutely is. And at this point, you just have to hold on to it with a race like that. They have found their strategy. Can they utilize these top 3 spots into race 8, into race 9 to really build themselves more of a lead, to make it so that the Dominican Republic will have a hard time coming back and really taking the lead back.
Yeah, the next race can dictate a lot, like you said. Do want to point out, though, our scoreboard on the bottom is correct. If you're looking at the scores on the stream after each race, there was a disconnection. I believe it was on DK Pass from Peru. So they do have some disconnection points. So they are in the lead, up by 14. A very nice race from them on Acorn Heights. And, like, you know, they did exactly what I was mentioning earlier. They had that front presence, and they made a really nice catch-up at the end. We did see that bill coming up into 6th place, and, you know, they exceeded expectations. A bottom 4 being such a devastating blow here. And now we're entering Crown City. Wasn't exactly paying attention there, but I believe this is a Dominican pick, being a track that favors bagging a little bit more here. We do see Francis opting to hard run, Splendy dropping into a mid spot, maybe going for those triple shrooms, like we said. Triple greens, though, could make some work of some of these Dominican players in the pack. Has to be careful, though. It is a very tight section on this opening of Crown City, so have to be very careful of spacing. Coinshell does unfortunately hit his teammate, but he does have the shrooms out now, so he will be in a nice spot to run here, entering Section 2, along with Francis here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And having those triple greens is a necessary tool. But unfortunately for that, it does not matter as they get hit out and fall a little bit behind, actually. And now this pack is just extremely close. And it's kind of expected, though, on a track like this, the Mega being played by Ebrix and just stopping and just taking out several members. And that allows now a position where really the Dominican can challenge for first, because we do see one of Peru's members in first at this point. So we have to see if they can break into that. But having a bomb here, Ebrix is probably going to opt to hold on to it, at least until they throw it out of nowhere and are going to get redded for it, unfortunately.
Red Shell coming out for Elbrix, but the chance for Shrooms is high here, and as I say it, he pulls them. This is what he needs for these upcoming S-turns here. A very crucial Shroom spot that saves a lot of time. And Francis, I believe, yes, believes he's still holding it down in first right now for Peru. Splendy getting horned. I believe that was Edgar with a horn onto Splendy before the cut. That's a really nice play from him. Francis still holding down first. Bit of a buffer here. Pie Hat threatening in third. If he gets an attack item, yep, triple reds. That's going to take out Elbrix immediately here. And this should be a confirmed top 2, barring a shock for Peru. Going into the last set, Elbrix hoping to chain for a mushroom, but he's going to get mega. That's going to put him way back down. And is this a bottom 3 for Dominican right now?
I think it's 10-12 though. But again, top 3, I believe, for Peru. And again, the top 4, 6 for Peru. That is going to make it extremely hard for the Dominican Republic to make it back. And again, they just need to continue with this momentum, and they did in that one. And that's going to create even more separation and make it even harder for the Dominican Republic. Up 42, I think 42. Yeah, 42.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's really hard to come back from at this point.
Yeah, building on the lead, and it really seems in the past couple races, Peru have found their element. And do want to point out, Splendy being the player in 11th, like you saw, he did get hit without a mushroom, or he didn't have mushrooms for the S turn and got hit out, so he lost a good amount of time there. But his team really showing up huge, especially Francis, who held down the front for pretty much the entire race there. Really well played from him. Again, a player who has playing on RK's third team right now, so a good amount of experience. That's experience with running and the like. So holding it up when Splendy or Pie Hat, for example, aren't able to. But a really nice job from him that race. And now we are going into DK Spaceport, a track we also haven't seen quite yet in the World Cup, but. Very, very interesting one, very chaotic, a lot of different potential strategies here, but again, with this 1.7 update, we are seeing pretty much everyone run right off the bat. As I said, the potential for the triple shrooms and ghosts makes it really advantageous to just run. No point in dropping out just yet. Especially because the second set is also going to be affected by the new items, but Splendy just pulling a green, so not having the shrooms, so he probably won't be keeping first here.
But again, I don't think it's going to matter as much because having any sort of help is necessary, but only losing really one spot to Daro, and at that point, I don't think it's necessarily a bad situation. I think Daro might have another shroom though, so they might be able to really build themselves more of a lead even. But now top 3 for the Dominican Republic, and now they just have to hope and pray there's no shock and they can hold on to it because they do have mushrooms in the front. And only having a feather here is going to at least make it easier for Splendy to stay in the top, but at this point, you have to break that top 3, and all you have is a banana. But this draft is going to help, at least for a little bit, but we do see a couple of those players taking the shortcut, and as well, just not the type of situation. But Danson has a gold, and then Den getting sniped, but the back coming, and the shock, and that's going to create a very interesting scenario. I think it might have been Peru, though, in first. And it was.
Yeah, Peru getting first, but I believe, that was Edgar dodging on the line. So a little bit of a salvage there from the Dominican Republic, but another strong race for Peru, and they are just extending this lead further and further right now. And again, that golden from Peru, like you said, I believe that was Dan, was really big before the shock was able to hit him, as well as that snipe on the line that I don't remember exactly who Splendy hit there, but that was a really nice play as well. So again, this track always creates some sort of chaotic ending, some sort of chaos, if it's at the end, if it's at the beginning. Very, very interesting how that track plays, and it did really work out there for Peru. And now opting for Airship Fortress. Again, another track that heavily benefits starting in the top spots. And the whistle stop. But yeah, it is going to be airship for Peru here. Peru getting a lot of their picks, and they are starting to pay off here, going into the third GP of this war.
Yeah, an Airship Fortress going to be an interesting track. Again, you have to watch out for those rails, and really the start here is very chaotic. You have to be careful going for this rail, and we do see, unfortunately, Albricks missing the rail, but immediately hopping back onto it and really sticking onto it. But again, it's just so crowded. You have to be able to really hold on as much as possible, and they actually are able to hold on, but getting it a little bit wide there, and that's going to allow Hi-Hat to really gain themselves more of a lead, especially, but the Ghost being pulled as well. Could we see that, or actually they're just going to hold on to it, and I like that strategy because of the ending shortcut.
Yeah, common theme we've seen several races so far being that second set Ghost pull for either one of our POVs, but Elbrick's opting to hold so that Morio, his teammate in front of him, keeps his Shroom. He'll use his Ghost now, and it seems that no item was in play, so he does get a Mushroom. Hammer attempts would have worked without the Ghost in play, but a nice attempt regardless. And Elbrick's taking a red. He is going to get stuck on the wall, too. That's going to lose him quite a bit of time and keep Peru in top 2 at the very least. Maybe top 3. Splendy carrying yet another Ghost into first place. This is really big for his team. He'll try to hold on to this as long as possible, I'd imagine, not risking pulling out these triple greens on his teammates. And especially because it looks like some of them are shrooming, but if he uses it now, yeah, he'll go for some snipes on Morio. Can he jump off in time? Yes, he can, but he's still going to have to yield to Splendy. That's going to put him in first with triple greens. Going to be very hard for Morio to do anything about this. And I believe he's even hit out. Pi-Hat is back in second.
Here comes Kamek, though, into the fray, and we have the Rocky Wrench, and that's going to create some chaos, at least on the turn coming up, but never mind. As I say that, as I say that, indeed, getting hit by the Rocky Wrench, and that's at least going to make it closer, but I think Splendy is going to, as I say that, the red coming out and Edgar taking first, I think that is what the Dominican Republic needed, at least in terms of positions. They were able to end the video to boot. They were just super unfortunate. The Rocky Wrenches were placed in such a way where it was hard for Splendy to avoid it, and it created such a great race for the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, had to pull up the clip to watch that one back, and as you could see, his the purple orb as it was transforming him made it pretty much impossible to see that Rocky Wrench. So very unfortunate for him, and you know, he did have the Shroom to recover, so it was looking good, but a Dominican member in second managing to pull the red shell he needed, and that was able to result in at least a first place. I didn't quite exactly catch all of the spots. I believe it was like a 1-3-5 for them, something to that effect. So a good start, but Dominican's going to need a little bit more here going into the last 3 races. They have the time, but they are really going to need, you know, to start seeing some of these top 4s, top 5s to bring them back to a range where they're still in it.
Yeah, and I mean, getting a plus 20 here will make it at least easier to try to win it. But on a track like Whistle Stop Summit, I don't know if that's going to happen because you were talking about this earlier, how Splendy is a really, really good player and how they can hold the front. And I think on a track like this, it's going to be hard for the Dominican to break that. And if Splendy can get to the front, it might be over for the Dominican at this point.
And he is starting in 6th, which is the perfect position to start here. And he gets the early attach on the left rail, or sorry, the right rail, but that's not going to matter. He adapts really well with a feather in first. This is already going to be a huge breakaway if Dominican doesn't do something about this. He's actually going to opt to burn it. I'm very surprised at that, as that would have been a free jump over the gap, but pulling a Shroom in second, in first, like I mentioned, with this 1.7 update, these item pulls are possible, and so he is going to make a very risky, I would still say that was a risky chain, but paying off for him. And very nice misc here that's going to put him in first, but we still do see several Dominican members threatening in 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 as well. A lot of blue behind Splendy right now.
If you're Splendy, you just have to hold on to it. We see Pot though, in, I believe, second, so at least top 2 for now. But again, you just have to hold on to it and play perfect here. Again, going for this charge jump shortcut, having to play around that, and at this point, it's really going to determine what they can do.
Yeah, so Splendy holding it down really nicely in first right now. Elbrix with some shrooms in the mid pack right now, trying to make that come up into the front. But looking at the mini-map, again, the story we've seen throughout this whole war, it's Splendy in first. He's actually going to take a hit, though, and that is Morio in second, though, contesting right now, with Edgar in third. Morio has the potential to do some damage. Another feather pull from Splendy. That is huge for them. He's going to get shocked. That has to be a Peru shock, as they do see a lot of dodges back there, and Splendy gets over the gap with the feather. Morio still contesting somehow, and Splendy had a very uncharacteristic fail, but Morio also failing, so Splendy is going to keep first here. I don't believe Morio's in draft distance. This is going to keep Peru in first, and this is exactly what we needed. A lot of Peru in the mid spots as well. This is a really big race for Peru.
And it might make it so the Dominican cannot win, and it is. Yeah. That is wow. It. Peru has taken it over the Dominican Republic with a great performance on Whistle Stop, and that's what I was talking about. Just one race to do it, and they did. So, unfortunately, the Dominican Republic will fall to 0-2, but they still do have a little bit of hope, at least to make it.
Yeah, and I believe this is a plus 70 differential, if I'm not mistaken. So it is... So with 2 races left, it is mathematically doable because a top 6 would be plus 40, so it's mathematically possible, but plus 70 is so daunting. That has to be a top 6 and then a top 5 back-to-back, and that's something, we have seen crazy comebacks in the past, but the likelihood of something like that is so low. So it would be quite a spectacle, but it's going to be a really, really uphill battle for Dominican here. Realistically, what they're looking to do here is minimize the differential here. But Dominican coming off a loss from yesterday. And so if they go down to 2 losses, it's going to come down to outside factors for them to advance. So we'll see what they can do. And we're going to Choco Mountain, which is a track that has a lot of catch-up potential and can swing very heavily in one team's favor. So a good track, especially considering Dominican need that top 5 or top 6 right now.
Yeah, and at this point, you just have to really get those powerful items here early on. We do see Elbrix actually opting to bag. And again, I like that play, trying to go for some dodges and some mushrooms, but only going to pull triple mushrooms and a gold shell. Probably not what they were looking for, so instead they're just going to stay in the back of the pack here and just kind of play around that, but at the same time, I like that strategy. But again, just not getting the chain that they needed. I feel like if you're Elbrix, you probably wanted something at least to be able to chain those 2 items, and in that situation, you weren't able to. So it's going to create a little bit of a massive deal here, but we do see, I think the pack is really spread out here, and that's to be expected on this track.
Yeah, this track with the good amount of different strategies that can be utilized to secure a win. The pack is going to be spread out, as you can see. Elbrix with a Bill and Golden here, but definitely not out of it. He's going to opt to Bill through this mud, saving a lot of time. That's one of the biggest shortcuts in the whole game. It just saves an astronomical amount. And he's going to end up in 8th with a Golden here. We'll be interested to see what he opts to do with this. If I were him, I would get a low box like he's doing right now, and then Golden through, but he's actually going to opt to go around. I wonder if that's a sign that a potential shock is in play, as we do see a lot of Dominican in the back right now. If they shock all of their members into this upcoming set, that would be huge for them. But no, he's just going to opt to Golden through this mud to cut off that turn and the big cut. So that's going to put him into the front, but I just don't think this is enough right now. Dominican need a lot more. And he's going to run into his teammates' trail to coin shell. That is quite unfortunate for them. Edgar coming up with a mega. So some Dominican making a push to the front on the line, but I think that's a top 3 for Peru. And if they weren't already out of it, they definitely are. Or if they hadn't already won, they definitely have now. A really strong race for Peru once again. Top 4 even, yeah.
Yeah, just super unfortunate on that one. Just putting the icing on the cake there. Peru just showing why they are here, and they had such a great war, winning by so many points. That actually was the last race, so even down 70, they were mathematically out of it, but just putting on such a show in this one, just even extending their lead that they already have. And differential does matter in terms of who advances. So this match for Peru, at least, is going to help them a lot.
Yeah, I apologize. I sincerely thought that was race 11, so my bad on that. But yeah, they had one after race 11 on whistle stop, I believe that was. So congrats to Peru on their win. But I do want to point out that the Dominican, especially in the first half, really kept it close. They were doing a really nice job, whether it was, like I mentioned, in the first 3 races, Dominican had first, all 3 of them. They also did a really nice job salvaging on tracks like DK Pass. But I think Peru took a moment, if you will, to step into their comfort zone and warm up a bit into the match, and they dominated the second half. I mean, I believe at one point they were down, but they brought that all the way up to a plus, I believe that was a plus 90. So really, really incredible comeback from them. Splendy doing a really nice job in the front. Pie Hat and Francis also having their moments. So like I said, a team with a lot of depth that I think will carry them into tomorrow's matches as well. So again, congrats to Peru on the win, and a strong showing from the Dominican as well. As despite that, I think this will put them out of contention for the group stage unless some upsets happen tomorrow. But it was a pleasure seeing them play. Really like to see how, especially with their roster being as new as it is, a lot of them being as new as they are, they were able to put up a good fight against both Peru and Venezuela here.
Definitely, and they probably will be back at some point, whatever the next World Cup is. They got a strong foundation, and they were able to keep it very close with Peru. And again, just the amount of effort they put in, and really that start as well, just such a great showing from them. But yeah, unfortunately, they probably won't be into the next round. But again, Peru in a situation now where they probably will be into the group stages, at least with a win. That's going to help them a lot here moving forward.
Yeah, I would agree, but they do have some strong matches that they have yet to play. They have yet to play Venezuela, currently leading the group. I actually can't remember. It would come down to plus minus, as both Venezuela and Peru have played only the Dominican. All 3 of the matches from the final team in this group, off the top of my head, I can't remember. It is... Gran Colombia. They have all 3 of their matches tomorrow, so that could be another factor here. But yeah, really strong start for them. And if we take a look at the schedule really quick before we wrap things up here for today, as this is the last match for today. 2 matches so far in Group W, but if we take a look at the schedule, a lot of matches happening tomorrow. Definitely going to be the most action. I believe that's 13 matches, if I'm counting correctly, that are happening tomorrow across all of the groups. So 12 or 13. I'm not sure. Math is hard, but a lot of action tomorrow across all of the groups. We didn't see these on cast, but today we saw a really strong start from Netherlands, taking a decisive win over Luxembourg, and then a really strong win over for Eastern Europe as well over Central America. And so those groups still have a lot left to play for. The crucial Brazil versus Switzerland, we saw the other two Group C matches this morning. That match is the decider for who advances along with Hong Kong, Taiwan into the group stage. So a lot left to play for tomorrow. And while at this current moment, I don't have any info on casts for tomorrow, we will try our best to get a couple in if we can. But this weekend in general has been quite challenging for the media staff in terms of getting matches casted for you. But we will try our very best. And if not, we will be posting POVs. Like if you are in the Discord, you saw us do that today for matches we couldn't cast, but a lot of action tomorrow. So if you are not in the Discord, make sure you are joining to get updated on all of that stuff. And yeah, once again, congrats to Peru. And as far as I know, that is all from me. Any final thoughts, Ginja?
It should be very exciting tomorrow, and please stay tuned for that because we got a lot of matches tomorrow. And even if we are not able to cast some of them, they're going to be streamed. A lot. Again, check the Discord; they'll be there. But again, yeah, just exciting matches coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for watching so far. It's been really awesome to bring all this together for you, and we will see you soon with some more MKWC action.